Do you ever wonder how great leaders in the community make things happen? When they encounter new, unexpected challenges like a pandemic, how do they continue to successfully make an impact? Welcome to That Sounds Terrific, the podcast that connects you with these amazing people. Get insights on what they do to meet their goals, find out how you can help them in their mission, and learn their methods so you can be more successful at what you do. Welcome to That Sounds Terrific with host Nick Koziel. PTSD awareness is the theme for today's podcast. This is Chris Jones. It's going to be a joint podcast with my friend from the Rochester, New York area, Nick Koziel, and his podcast is called That Sounds Terrific, and it really will today. The guest is Sonya Ward, and she is the founder of an organization that trains service dogs for veterans and first responders. It's called Ibi Semper Training. Now, this joint podcast was recorded live at a training facility in Schenectady, New York. It features two veterans who have graduated from the service dog training program and also features actual training. Let's get on now with the Bo Knows Who is Changing the World.
Thank you, ladies, for being here on our joint effort between Chris Jones and I, Nick Koziel, on That Sounds Terrific. We're super excited to be here. I have Sonya, Christina, and Gina. And Ollie is underneath the table. This is a first for me, and That Sounds Terrific, to be, first of all, recording in person and doing a collaborative project with Chris Jones. So thanks.
Nick, it's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad you asked me to do this. And we just witnessed some dog training that was pretty awesome.
Thank you. Because somebody still needs some dog training.
Well, that's why we're here, to talk more about Ollie and how this came about. Sonya, why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about this training program and why you're doing it.
Okay. My name is Sonya Ward. I am the founder of Ibi Semper Training. I started training dogs when we got our puppy, Lucky, and we started training her in puppy class in 2015. And then I volunteered with an organization to train veterans with PTSD to train their dogs as PTSD service dogs. That is how I got started. I ended up volunteering to train, to organize events, to do outreach and fundraising. And that's really the start of my experience with veterans as well as dog training. Now, I left the organization in December of 2018. And I thought that was going to be it. I thought that I would focus on my hobby, which is photography. And then veterans came to me and said, "We loved how you're training. Would you be able to help me?" And I said, "Well, I'm not official anymore, but I can help you on the side." More and more veterans came. The community was fantastic, very supportive. And so I decided I might as well make it official and start my own organization, and that is how Ibi Semper Training was founded in January of 2020.
So relatively new.
Very new. We had one in-person fundraiser, which was in February. It was a trivia night. We had fantastic success with it, and then COVID shut everything down, including our training facility. So I used 2020 as in outreach, networking, and that is how we were able to now have two locations that were given to us in kind, donations to be able to train out of. Ray Legier with the Schenectady Armory Center, where we are now, allowed us to train here several times a week. And then the American Legion, I got connected with them through Penny Legier, who's the founder of Arts for Vets. And I connected with her, and then she connected me with the American Legion. Joseph East, the logo post in Albany, and we are training there once a week as well.
Okay, awesome. So you've got two veterans here with us today. Why don't you guys take a chance to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your experience.
My name is Gina. I was in the State Guard, which is a volunteer state defense force for New York. We do natural disaster relief, humanitarian efforts, any emergency response that the state may have. I was on Hurricane Sandy back in 2012, doing a humanitarian effort, and I had realized that my personality had started to change a little bit when I had came home off of that, and I had a couple of other events that had surrounded my PTSD, and I learned what PTSD was through my personality changes, and I ended up on a road that I never thought I'd be on. But it's been a learning experience, definitely, and one I'm grateful for.
What has your dog done for you?
She does buffering for me in crowds. She provides security for me at night. I'm not too comfortable being alone in the evening hours and after hours of coming home, especially if I've been out to come home to an empty house. So she provides some clearance for me in the house to make sure that nobody's done something they weren't supposed to. She also provides panic and anxiety flare-ups for me. She can alert me, or I alert her that, I'm starting to mess with my fingers and self-harm. She alerts me and comes up and distracts me from that behavior, interrupts it. So she's just been amazing because medications can't provide that kind of thing. So it's a definite different element to therapy and to PTSD that I just am forever grateful for.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
First of all, we should have started that.
Yeah, I know we should have. Let me do a sincere thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
And just to go off some of the things you were saying, I mean, it's great to have a more natural way to deal with any kind of thing that's ailing you. And I love Holly already. I've only been here for a couple minutes, and I'm like, oh, man.
She's quite the showstopper.
Right? So.
Hello, Ollie. Hello. Aren't you friend?
Would you like to share a little bit?
Yeah, I am Christine. I'm an Air Force veteran. I was medically retired in 2017. I suffered some major visible and non-visible injuries. As a result, I needed a service dog. So the first training program I had gone through wasn't successful, unfortunately. So I found myself with a new dog, and I contacted Sonya, who I remembered from before, and she helped me out immediately and told me that she just started this organization. So pretty much since then, we did my training. It went really great. We did the public training, the Canine Good Citizen Training, the urban training.
And
it was
full honors.
Yeah. I had my daughter there. One of my best friends went to the program with me, Blair. We both graduated at the same time. So it was a really good experience. The dog has really helped my quality of life. Before, I would never really go out in public alone. I didn't want to go into the grocery store. I just had a lot of avoidance things. So now, Pepper creates a buffer for me. It helps to calm me. We traveled all over places that I didn't think I would go. But on an airplane, she goes to my medical appointments, even procedures and stuff like that. She's just been awesome. Right now, I'm trying to hone in on her waking me up from nightmares, because that's a big problem that I have. So we're working on that, but it's been a life changer. I'm really grateful to Sonya.
I mean, when I heard what Sonya was doing, I definitely, wanted to come out and talk to her and get the word out first. And again, I mean, you were asking me to be brave one more time. We asked you to serve our country and be brave there, and now we're asking you to be brave and share your personal stories. And Chris and I both really appreciate you both on so many levels, and you too, Sonya. How do people find you? I know how they initially found you.
Yes.
How can you be found?
So we have a website. It's https // ibisempertraining.org. That is IBISEMPER training.org. We are also on Facebook at Ibi Semper Training 1. Our Instagram is at Ibi Semper_Training. We are not on Twitter yet, but that's probably going to come. But so those are 3 ways you can find us.
We'll put that in the show notes for sure too.
Right, and then so far it's been word of mouth. I have gotten several calls since we did a press release for our first annual PTSD and Service Dog Awareness Ride. We are also in the finishing process of putting together a cookbook. The cookbook has recipes. We have 76 pages of recipes that were put together by our teams, by the people I work with, partner organizations, friends, and family. We will be selling that, hopefully, at the ride, which is August 28th. It's starting at, registration is at 10 a.m., Kickstart is at noon at Brunswick Harley-Davidson in Troy. We will have about an hour ride, and we'll end at Brunswick Barbecue and Brew.
Motorcycle ride.
Yes, motorcycle ride, yes, yes.
Nice.
And if you don't ride, you can still join us. Join us at Brunswick Barbecue and Brew for entertainment, the raffle that we have there, and some good food. And support a good cause.
Oh, most definitely. This is obviously a passion for you, and you realize that it must feel good to wake up every day and know that you're doing that. And I'm sorry, the names are escaping.
Christina.
You must feel good when you wake up in the morning knowing that you have Sonya to talk to if you need to, and you have the dog to help you.
Yeah, she's been a lot more than a trainer. She's been like a mentor, a friend. We're basically like family again. She's Auntie Sonya to my daughter. She's just an amazing person. I enjoy now myself, my daughter Lily, and my dog Pepper will go sometimes to help Temperament test dogs to different shelters to make sure that their dogs are good with kids and other animals before we try to place them. So it's been kind of nice to be able to give back and do things that I used to enjoy before I was limited.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is how Ibi Semper Training is different from other organizations. We don't breed dogs. We don't train the dogs and then hand them over, because part of PTSD has to do with anxiety and isolation, depression. So to get the applicants out of their comfort zone a little bit, we have 4 months of closed classroom training.
Okay.
They are required to come to the 8 months program. So they're coming out of their comfort zone to come to me, which is the bravest thing. So then after 4 months, we start a little bit going outside with the urban. We're training for the American Kennel Club CGC and CGCU. And then we do, after those tests are passed, we do the public access for the last 2 months of the program.
Okay.
So you mentioned you don't breed the dogs.
Correct.
So how do you get the dogs? Where do they come from?
Yes, so we train the veterans and the first responders with PTSD, which is the demographic that I train, to train their dogs. So they can own a dog. I will temperament test their pet dog. If the dog qualifies, we can start training with that dog immediately. If they don't have a dog or their dog does not qualify, I will go to a shelter, which is the Lucky Puppy Rescue in Argyle, and I will meet other dogs there that qualify depending on the need of the applicant, and then temperament test the dogs to get a variety and somewhat of a selection of dogs for them to look at. I will ask that the whole family comes, if they have another dog or pet, to bring that pet. And then if they sync, if everything works out, they can take that dog home right then and there. I will pick up the adoption fee and I pay for the training, so there's absolutely no cost to the applicants. And within a week we start training.
So you're saving, other dogs too from shelters, and that's just amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Wow, that's a good way to go. So the applicant has the dog pretty much from day one?
Yes. As soon as they meet the dog, if everything works out, if the dog is agreeable to the to the person or the family, and the family likes the dog, they get to take the dog home right then and there.
So the dog gets used to the family and,
Yes.
the applicant, of course,
Yes,
before the training starts.
correct.
So it would be difficult to train day one, I think, wouldn't it? Or would it?
You could, but it wouldn't be as effective, right? Because you want the dog to realize that this is my new home, this is my new
So it's
owner.
an acclimation.
To kind of, yes, to give them time to acclimate to each other. I
Right.
usually give it about a week and a half at the most, and then we start training right off there.
I can add to that. Actually, Ollie was adopted from a shelter in December, and then I hadn't even known about Sonya yet. And then a friend of mine reached out to me because she knew that I was searching for a service dog provider. And I just adopted Ollie, so I was really scared to call when I had just gotten the dog. The dog's trying to get to know me, and that's exactly what she said. She goes, "This is great because you get a couple months to get to know each other and bond." And she goes, "I'll come out and I'll temperament test it with Ollie, and then we'll go from there." And it was a perfect fit all the way around. All three of us bonded over Ollie. It was great.
So Ollie reach your emotions and mind.
Absolutely. I actually saw her on Facebook, and I said, "That's my dog." And I went to the shelter, and I had watched her movements and how she was in tune with other people and with me and who she was going to go to, because I brought a friend of mine as well. And I said, "Well, the dog goes to you. Obviously, she's not going to be my dog." So luckily, Ollie came right out. She came to me, and then she had gone around to the room, and she was in tune with everything. And the girl asked me, she goes, "Well, how do you know?" And I said, "The dog's just going to be able to read what I want it to do, and I'm going to give it a few commands, just basic commands, and see if she'll go in," and how trainable she was. And she picked right up on it. So she's been awesome from day one.
Yeah.
And improving every day.
Was that the same thing with Pepper, kind of, or how did that work?
I had gotten Pepper from a mutual friend that was in Texas. So I brought her home with me. Australian Shepherd, which is a very smart breed, very docile dog. And I wasn't even considering training her. And then I said to Sonya and said, "Oh, maybe I can train her to be my service dog. Would you help me?"
Yeah.
She was already starting this thing, and it was kind of amazing because a lot of people that I've met through different border organizations are waiting a year, if not longer, 2 years, 3 years to even get a dog or get the application process or start training. And I've introduced a few veterans to Sonya who started training and gotten a dog within a week or two. So she's very, very, very on top of everything. She's very organized. She's just she's like a superwoman.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes
She really is. So it's impressive.
It's
awesome.
If you research, usually a fully trained service dog is anywhere between $20,000 to $40,000.
Right.
If you are a veteran on a fixed income, who can afford that? Also, if you are contacting most dog training organizations that train dogs for you, there's between a 2 and 3 year waiting period. And so if you have PTSD, and I have this bracelet that says 22 a day, which means usually you have 22 veterans a day commit suicide. We have to do something about this. So I said, I don't want veterans or first responders because of COVID to wait that long. It's just irresponsible. So I commend any dog training programs because we all need help. And any help is better than no help. So thank you for anyone that does dog training. However, for me personally, it was important to help veterans and first responders as immediate as I could. So if I have a person reach out, I try to get back to them within a 24-hour period. I will then send them information to, if they haven't filled out my application online, to send them to my website, fill out the application, and we will go from there. If they have a dog, then I will meet them to temperament test the dog. If they don't have a dog, I have to do a home visit, so I will make that scheduled. And then once the home visit, sometimes the same day, I have had a home visit, and then both the applicant and I went to the shelter to pick up the dog.
What kind of percentage on the temperament test have there been times when it hasn't worked?
In the previous organization that I worked through, there have been some times that it hasn't worked with me. I usually have certain things that I look for when I temperament test dogs. So any of the dogs that I have looked at, there has been one applicant that decided, okay, I want to wait with the program, but it wasn't because that was the dog. It was just because of the personal situation.
Right.
So we really haven't had any washouts.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. How many, I don't want to use the word clients, that's the wrong thing, but how many people are veterans or first responders are you helping?
Well, because it is an 8-month program and because we're fairly new, the number is still low.
Right.
I am currently having about 6 or 7 teams, yeah. So, yes, yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome.
And 2 graduates. Yeah.
Ollie wants some attention, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Ollie wants to ask some questions. It's great.
Can we ask Ollie a question?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I can answer for her. When she just jumped up on my chest, just on the video, that's one of her tasks that she provides for me. If she senses that my anxiety level is going up, she applies the deep pressure for me on the chest to kind of prevent that from happening. So that's one of the things that she's trained for that we did. And the command for that sometimes is to just go up, and I'll tell her, and I'll tap on my chest and say up, and she'll come up to me. I've been under quite a bit of stress these past couple of days, and I think she's noticing that my levels have been changing, and she just automatically sensed that, which is awesome.
That's great. She's responding to the training.
Yeah, we're seeing it live. In action.
Yeah, action. Yeah. So, Sonya, I know there's a lot of different ways that other people can assist your organization, from fundraising for the bike event and things like that. But what are some ways that you really critically need right now? Like what kind of services that can help you?
So the way we get our funding is through fundraisers, donations, and grants. Those are the 3 ways that we get our funds. We do fundraisers throughout the year. You can check us out online, both on the website and Facebook has an events page that you can go to. It shows all the fundraisers that we do. You can participate with that. Checks are always welcome. You can mail them to us. And online donations. Both the Facebook page as well as our website has a donation link. You can donate through that. If you are a General Electric employee, we are on their gift list. You can select us on the gift list. If you are on Amazon, we are a registered nonprofit on the Amazon list. You go to smile.amazon.com, select Ibi Semper Training. We also have a wish list. You can look up any of the items on the wish list and send it directly to us. And then, grants. If you know of any grants and you would like to help us with that, that'll be always welcome.
Or any grant writers that want to come in and help out by volunteering their services.
Absolutely.
Grants, I know how hard that could be. So.
Oh yeah.
There's an interesting pivot to that. I was a flight attendant. I've been on the ground for about a year now with the PTSD stuff, and Sonya and I had started talking, and I'm actually taking a grade writing class now. So it's opened up, when you say it opens up a lot of doors and opportunity, it can definitely shift how you look at and view your situation. And I've met some phenomenal friends that I never would have met through this, and I think we all bring a unique situation to the table, but it's an understanding that nobody else has with us, that we can reach out, and it's almost like a peer group that we have, and we wouldn't have it without Sonya and the service dog training, so it's amazing.
So I'm a person that when I see a need, I try to take action. That is how I was raised. So when veterans came to me and said, would you please help us out? We love how you train. I said, after a while, I said, I might as well make this official. And then I don't just do the training, I support them. If there is a need, with a situation where an organization is giving a veteran, for example, a hard time about their service dog, it just needs a text or a call. I will be at that location with my ADA pamphlet in my hand, and I will say, may I speak to the manager, and can we resolve this? And here is the information that you may have not been aware of. And I will advocate not only for my veterans and first responders, but for anyone with PTSD and service dogs, because there's a lot of education that still needs to happen. And there's a lot of unawareness, misconceptions. I have had one person tell me, well, there is no such thing as a service dog other than a seeing eye dog. And I said, that is not correct. There's epilepsy, there's PTSD. Yes, there's a service dog for the deaf and the sight service dogs. There's an array of different service dogs that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, Sonya, you bring so many people together, like in so many different ways. You brought Chris and I together. I mean, when I first spoke with you on the phone, I was just like, we gotta get in front of this and like, really just tell everybody about all the things that you do, because you're sort of that, like, kind of gift from God kind of thing.
Don't go that far.
No, I started my show.
Well, to the veterans, I think it would be.
Yeah. Absolutely. I could actually say, when I started researching and my own path of where I was going to be going, I had met somebody out there who was training, and I just realized that I wanted to be able to have my dog, and that was one of the things that I wasn't going to be able to do possibly. So reaching out and just finding that resource, because you think that there's only certain resources out there that are willing to step up to the plate and help out, and it's amazing where they come from, and least expected places sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, I started my show because I wanted to find people like you that were making a great impact in the community, and not doing it to be noticed, really. You're uplifting your organization and these women and veterans for what they're doing and trying to do in their lives, and to thank them really for what the sacrifices that they made.
Yes.
So I mean, I really do applaud you, and I really mean that when I say, like, I feel like you are like one of those people that are just a gift from God. I mean, how many people will be going to a store with paperwork to say, this is why this dog is allowed in your store, at all hours of the day or night? Not many.
Because a lot of business owners don't want pets or dogs in their store of any kind.
And it's educating, right?
Yes. Education.
They don't know what they don't know. They unfortunately, there are people that try to take advantage of the system. I know of people in situations that I have been in where, like, this is a service dog, and it's clear that it wasn't. And that's a shame, because that harms things like this that are really necessary. So thank you again.
Thank you, but I honestly, it's not me that needs the attention as much as my teams are the bravest people I know, and it makes me humble to be allowed to work with them, to get their trust. And to see the changes that happen with the training, with the people as well as with the dogs. So that makes it all worth for me, is to see the end result. And that is why I do what I do. It's not for recognition, it's not for praise. It's to change and make their lives better.
Well, you need that conduit. You need that highway. You need that transportation device to kind of get them to that level, and that's what I think you are. And it's great that you don't want to be recognized, but you also should be, right? Because it's bringing notice to your organization and notice to the.
We're creating awareness. We want you. That's why we're here.
Yes.
And we're going to help push it as a need. I had another question regarding the dogs. Do you take on people that already have a service dog that is maybe misbehaving or in some such way, or at least to further, I guess, do you come on like in the middle of something?
That hasn't come across. In the future, it may happen that way, but I have not had that happen really.
Okay,
I mean, with Christina, the dog was trained previously, and there are just different aspects of what Christina was looking for. So we added to the training.
Okay.
It wasn't really changing the training that the dog already
All
had.
right, I was just thinking there might be some questions on that out
Yep.
there somewhere.
Yeah.
There absolutely could, and I can add to this, is one of the things that they say is you can train your own service dog, but there are elements that you just don't understand. I had an emotional support dog before having Ollie as a service dog, and I had thought about doing that, but I just felt so far out of my element. I knew what my diagnosis was, I knew what I needed, but I just didn't know how to connect that path.
Right.
So it's phenomenal. I'm sure if somebody started their own path and then got hung up, it's nice to have the resources that are out there for the actual service dog trainers, but you absolutely can. I'm actually speaking with a friend of mine, she's a diabetic.
Oh.
And she had no idea that diabetics can detect their levels when they go high, they go low, or when they're normal. And if her sugar drops, she may drop, and she might not be able to get to the refrigerator to retrieve a bottle of juice or something to up that sugar level. So we had a long discussion. But I don't think I would have ever had that discussion. I've known this girl my whole life. But with Ollie, she sees her on Facebook, she's interested, and now we could share our personal paths with our struggles. So it might not always be a mental health struggle. It could be a physical struggle, and then there's that gap or that bridge that these dogs bring to awareness.
Very well articulated.
Thank you.
Very well.
Yeah, it's amazing what dogs are able to detect. Like I know they're training some dogs about cancer and like detecting like diseases and things like that. So when you have someone that's interested in your services and they're going through the form and everything, it's all custom to the person. Is that what I'm understanding?
So if a person is interested in the program, they would go to the website, fill out the application. That is the first step. After that, I get notified, I look at the application, and then I get back to the people that respond to me. And there are some additional forms that I'm required to have for legal purposes. So if there's a veteran, I would need a copy of the DD-214. Some VAs also have a form that you can download. I will accept those as well. For military service, for first responder, I need some verification that they indeed have been a first responder. And then, like I said, we start with the training if, everything else works out. Now, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We're talking about, individuals that are coming to you that might have all sorts of different issues, and is the program kind of catered
to them. So yes, so we have, like I said, we train according to the American Kennel Club CGC, CGCU, and then the public access test. What I haven't mentioned so far is that we also do individual task training according to the individual's disability. So if someone has panic attacks, how does that manifest in the applicant? And each applicant, it may be very different manifestation of what the symptoms look like for their anxiety. So we will have that conversation right off the bat. We will train toward that. If they have nightmares, we will train for the dog to wake up someone from a nightmare, which means that the dog would have to be sleeping with them in the room to be aware of that. And if that is the case, then we would train them, for example, for nightmares, to jump up on the person's body, to give them the weight, start licking their face to get them to wake up out of the nightmare. And that is how you would interrupt that nightmare to come out of it. That's how you kind of train a service dog for a nightmare scenario, for example. And there are different, like I said, there are different scenarios, different symptoms that comes with PTSD, and you could task train according to their disability. So it's very personalized, and I don't publicize, I don't train in public for their disability because that is private.
Right.
And I feel the applicants are very brave already by making the public aware that there is a disability with the service dog that they have with them. So to me, that is the bravest thing. And I applaud them every day that they come for training to make that out and make that public out in the open with their service dog. But their disability is their own personal part, so I don't publicize.
I just thought it was important to bring that fact out, that there is like these individualized trainings as well.
Absolutely.
For specific parts of the PTSD or
and that is again where outreach and education comes in, because the public is not, I hear a lot, you train therapy dogs. I'm like, no. So a service dog is different from a therapy dog, is different from a emotional support animal. An emotional support animal could be any animal. A service animal is either going to be a dog or a miniature horse. Those are the two animals that qualify as a service animal. Therapy dog. A therapy dog is a dog. But a therapy dog is there for everyone other than the handler. A therapy dog you will see in schools during test times. You will see them in hospitals. You will see them in elderly homes, in court. If there's a victim that testifies, they will be right in the box with the victim to calm them. That is what a therapy dog does. They do service for everyone other than the handler. Emotional support and service dogs, they do the service only for the handler, no one else. That's why when you see a dog with the vest, try to read the vest first. If it says do not talk, do not touch, it is because they are working. If they're out in the public with the vest on, they are working. If you want to pet a dog, always ask before you run up to any dog. And that is service dog or regardless of any dog, always ask the handler first before you can pet any dog. And that we train for that in class because I want my veterans to feel comfortable if someone comes up to them to say yes or no. And then what does that look like? So we go out, when we do a public training, we go out and I always inform the people that I ask to train, help us train, that if you pet any dog, you pet them from underneath or the side, never on the top. Dogs react to that because they can't see what is above them and it creates fear in them. So always pet a dog from underneath or the side only.
Glad you told me that after I pet the dog. So, my bad about that, Ollie. Sorry.
So education is the name of the game.
Yes,
really
yes, absolutely. And so, like I said, matter of fact, we have an event tomorrow, the Two Ladies Market in Greenville. We are one of their vendors. We are one of the people that are being highlighted. I have my signs and my table and informational flyers that I hand out, and I will educate the public that is there in regards to service dog, emotional support, therapy dog, what the rights are, what some of the things that you should or should not do. That is part of my organization as much as the training. It is equally important, I think.
Ladies, if you wanted to say something about Sonya and the training and everything she's done, like what's maybe the most important thing to you, or most important impactful thing that you would like to share?
I can go with that. One of the things with PTSD that I've realized is that our views change so much when we have PTSD. And a lot of times it's negative views, and how we view the world, how we view ourselves, how we view our situation. And the phenomenal thing that happened with Sonya is that my world became so positive, and I always think now, how can I change the situation from a negative to a positive? And one of the situations that we were talking about being in training, when I'm out in public, I always feel unsafe, I feel guarded, I don't let my guard down. And the nice thing is when a little kid and their family comes up and says, "Oh, can I see your dog? Can I pet your dog?" That's my time to educate, and it's my time to allow myself to let that guard down a little bit and see that positive situation for what it is. So that's where I am forever grateful for that, because you get into this isolation bubble, and inside your head, a lot of times, then it goes down a very deep, dark path. Yeah. And it's the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes that you need. And You were definitely mine. Thank you.
Big bright spotlight.
Exactly. That glow.
She's always smiling.
Yes.
There's a lot to be, happy about or thankful. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you have anything you wanted to share?
I was kind of piggybacking. I was thinking, like, I felt the same exact way that she was describing. Basically, it's made my world, like, a lot bigger, opened up a lot of opportunities for me, and I was a new mother when I got out of the military, and I was worried about my daughter's world becoming, like, as small as mine had become, and I just wanted to break free of that cycle, and now we've had some amazing experiences thanks to Sonya and the training, and I don't think my daughter understands the extent of like what a service dog is yet. She's only 4, but it's been amazing. Like as far as she knows, she just brings her little happy doggy everywhere with us. But yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a good experience. We haven't had anything bad happen. It's just definitely opened things up a lot more. So yeah, now my daughter can have the life she deserves.
You too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Christina's actually, I am so proud of her. She works out so much, and she qualified for the Wounded Warrior team. So she just came back from Texas, from boot camp is what I called it.
It's training camp.
Training camp. And she's going off to Florida later this month, I think it is.
September.
Yes, to participate in the Wounded Warrior Games.
Yeah, it's the Department of Defense Warrior Games. It's a competition with disabled veterans from every branch of service, visible and non-visible injuries, but it's like every branch of service in like 8 different countries. So we'll be competing at the ESPN Worldwide Sports Center at Disney.
ESPN.
So it'll be a very big event. I actually went in 2019 also, so this is my 2nd year qualifying. So representing the Air Force. So it's a really awesome experience.
I smell another road trip we have to do, Chris.
Okay. We're there.
Definitely share with us some of the details. We'd love to kind of blast that out if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah. I have some pictures.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I am so proud of my teams, everything that they have been able to do, and I am their biggest cheerleader if I can. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to Texas or Florida. Cry. But anything, I will be there supporting them mentally and physically if I can, any which way that they need.
Awesome.
I think we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah,
we did.
I mean, I just want to thank you all again. Again, this is brave for you to come out and share your stories. And I think you're brave every day to come out and just, battle the education part of the community and trying to get funds. So thank you, ladies, for all that you do, for us as a community and for other veterans.
And that's a ditto. My father was 20 years Air Force. I'm familiar with that sort of a lifestyle. He retired from Plattsburgh for the Air Base.
My dad was stationed there too.
Was he in Plattsburgh?
In the Air Force, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was kind of lucky. He got Puerto Rico, California, and Plattsburgh. So.
Now we have that in common.
Right?
Yeah, that's where I grew up, so I saw a lot of that. I was actually in Turkey when I was 10. It was different. Well, thank you, ladies, for everything.
Thank you.
Everything you have done, everything that I hope your lives are moving forward in a positive direction. Absolutely.
Thank you. Don't forget to come to the motorcycle ride.
Tell us about that again.
Yeah, please do. Let's end on that. I think
yes, so again, the motorcycle ride is for anyone that would like to come and support a great cause. The benefits, the funding goes directly back into the program. We cover the training, we cover the dog adoption fees, and any supplies that we need for the training program. That is what the funding goes to. So if you can, August 28th, that is Saturday. Registration for the motorcycles is from 10 to noon. Noon is kickstart. We end at Brunswick Barbecue and Brew. Both locations are in Troy, New York. And the riders are $20, passengers are $10. We will again have lunch at Brunswick Barbecue and Brew. Entertainment, raffles, vendors, you name it, possibly dogs. So come and join us, support a great cause, support the local heroes of your community. We would be very, very appreciative. Thank you.
Very much. Yeah.
Christina and I were going to be crowds, so we will be walking around the room, buffer left, right, depending on which side we are coming. So just walk around, make our buffer. All right, good job. Put her back in a sit, please. Christina's going to be your friendly stranger, so she's going to come up, talk to you. I would like Ollie next to you. So you move, get her next to you. No, facing us. There you go. Yeah, there you go, perfect. Back in a sit. Christina is coming to you. She's sitting. All right. If she gets up, Christina, walk away, come back when she's back in the sit. Stay.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Don't forget to check out the show notes and our website at thatsoundsterrific.com to find the contact information and the best ways to volunteer with the organizations that we feature. If you know someone that is doing terrific things and think they should be featured in a future episode, be sure to email us their name, contact info, and short description of what they're doing at thatsoundsterrific@gmail.com. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating and give us some social media love by liking our Facebook page, That Sounds Terrific. Follow us on Twitter at Sounds Terrific 2 and Instagram at Sounds Terrific. We love hearing your feedback on how to make our show sound even more terrific. Till next time.